Hello, how are you?
Thank you so much for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. I always try to find unique people. And the reason that I called my show Conversations with Jennylyn is because I like having conversations with people from all walks of life, because I am someone who believes that everyone is important and adds value to something or someone in the world. And so I never judge, and I'm always fascinated by people and what drives them. And so tonight, my guest is unique because for years I have wanted to interview a shaman, a psychic medium, and a shaman. And I wasn't sure which one I should interview, although I've met quite a few. Until recently, I got the feeling that I'd found my guy. And tonight, I'm going to share him with you. And his name is Carlos Alexander. And Carlos is a medium, psychic, and a shaman. And I can't wait for him to tell us all about himself. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, we live in a world where people are only conscious of the physical stuff that's right here and now, or what their parents have taught them, or what they learned in school, or what they learned from someone that they trusted. But there's a spiritual world happening in parallel with our physical world that most people, we all know of. But the spiritual world, a lot of people are either oblivious or uncomfortable admitting its existence. And this is why you're going to share as much as you can in an hour with us today.
Well,
So you are very young and you're already a shaman. Can you tell us how you got started?
um, in the beginning of my awakening, since I was a child, I was able to see things, see spirits. I was able to dream and know things of the future. I didn't really wake up and understand my abilities until I turned about 21.
Mhm.
And this actually happened because my life actually went very downhill. Uh, I became more than poor, lost my jobs, ended up getting into a lot of trouble. And it wasn't intentional, it just wrong place, wrong time kind of things.
Yes.
And because of the trauma and because of the stress that I was going through, it ended up actually triggering my third eye, the Kundalini awakening, as some would know it as. And it caused me to be full in tune with the divine. At those moments is when I realized I can hear spirits, I can talk to higher dimensional beings, that I was able to actually see into the other realm without having a hard time or without having to sit there and meditate. I was able to actually commune with the higher dimensional beings that help all of us today on this planet.
So many people are oblivious that they've got help. And if you talk to a lot of people um, who haven't had any sort of experience with the spiritual realm, it sounds like craziness and mumbo jumbo to them. Um, I was one of those people. Although I have some of those gifts you described, I wasn't raised in a family or lived in an environment where anybody was familiar with any of it. So a lot of what I had, some of what you were describing, the dreams and all these things, and I felt sorry for myself because I thought I was crazy. But anyway, thank God you woke up early and now you're doing wonderful things in the world. So I'm sure anybody watching this is probably going to wonder, so you had these gifts and you sort of went down the wrong path. And while you were there, you had an awakening.
Correct.
And you became aware of the purpose for the gifts that you were experiencing. Who helped you, or how did you know what they were, what to do with them so you weren't scared? How did
Um,
you become aware of what it was and what you needed to do with it?
Unfortunately, as a lot of people go through, I ended up one day because of the problems I was going through. One of the people that I was in problems with actually did black magic work on me. And I didn't know this at the moment, but I've always been dedicated to prayer, talking to Source, talking to God, allowing that energy to help me within my life. Well, when I started to proclaim and pray to Jesus one day, I had the nauseous feeling of wanting to throw up. I felt sick. I felt tired. I felt so trapped within a dark cage. That's what sparked my interest because I would tell my partner, I would tell her, this isn't normal. I'm always praying to Jesus. I'm always praying to the angels, to the archangels. Why am I feeling sick all of a sudden praying to them? And it took a few days to understand that someone had put a major block on my path so that way I would not move forward. I ended up traveling 2.5 hours away from where I was. I was in southern Utah. Ended up traveling to Las Vegas to seek out a shaman that would be able to help me. I was only 21, barely starting, didn't know much about the rules and how things work. So I went to somebody experienced, and she was a shamaness that I ended up finding. And as soon as I went in there was about four of us in the room. And without us even saying a word, we just said, "Hello, how are you?" And she pointed at me and said, "You, you are in trouble." And I just like looked at her and everybody looked at me and I was like, I just broke down. At that moment, I broke down and said, "Yes, yes, I'm in serious, serious deep water and I need help." And that's when she had told me somebody worked a very powerful sorcery spell to get you to disappear, to lose yourself, to become crazy. I told her, "Yes, I know, because I've been praying and nothing has been resolving the issue." At that moment, she told me she was going to help me, and she ended up letting me know through her spirits, through her protectors, that I was on the right path and that I needed to continue what I was doing. She didn't explain much. At that moment, she was just trying to help me through the chaos that I was going through physically. After this, I ended up becoming more comfortable with the spiritual. I would light novena candles, the 7-day candles that most people tend to light. And when I would light those candles, the flame would be this big. The flame, the glass would be right here, and the flame would come out completely of the candle. That if anybody knows candle work, candles don't do this kind of stuff. My
I have a
candle,
candle doing that right now, and it's turning black around the rim. I don't know what that means.
that's correct. And so I ended up learning that what the candle was doing was my higher dimensional protectors were coming through and they were helping me to get rid of the evil, the blockage, the saltiness that was actually permeated within my aura.
Was that a good thing then when the candle is doing that?
When the candle does that, yes. As I grew into becoming more in tune with what
Wow.
magic is, candle work, I ended up realizing that this is actually what you want. You want to have the candles working when the flames move a lot, when it has a high flame, when the glass turns black is when this kind of work is actually being solved on your behalf. It means that the spirit, the divine God, if you will, is listening to your petition and working on your behalf behind the scenes on things that you cannot fix. So that spiritual team comes by and helps you. And they're letting you know through physical means of communication, through the candle, that you are being helped, no matter how deep, no matter how chaotic the situation.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was the opposite. Whenever I burn a candle and it turns black, I think, oh my God, this is not a good sign. I didn't know. So I'm glad for the clarification. And I
Yes.
have girlfriends that burn candles, and we've always wondered about the dark circles. Now they can watch your video and hear from the expert.
Well, the dark that you see in there, imagine your aura. So imagine the candle. The wax is your body. The flame is your spirit. The glass is your aura. And so when the glass turns black, that's the darkness that you actually had on your aura, and the candle picked it up and is transmuting that for you. So
That's
that way you don't
awesome.
have to go through it. And most people say, that's dark, that's weird, that's off. No, that's a blessing. To even have your candles turn dark means that you are being heard. And it may not look that way, but that's the thing is we have to understand the differences between the physical and the spiritual. The spiritual has a specific way of communicating with all of us. And one of the collective ways on how Source connects with us is through candles. So whenever anybody, any of you watching, see candles that are black, know that this means that they are working on your behalf and you are being helped.
You and I have to do a series of interviews because my girlfriends and I have so many questions about candles, angels. I have a few friends at work who, like myself, are very spiritual. And, we all come to work and talk about our dreams, and we'll try to decipher it. We'll Google the meaning. So, as much as you can spare, let's do interviews so we can cover all these topics because you'd be helping so many of us. Now, you saw this woman when you were 21. How
Yes.
many years now have you been working as a shaman?
As a shaman, I'm 28 now, so I'm going on almost 8 years. I'll be 29 next month. And so,
Tomorrow's the new month.
yes, yes. So it's been about 8 years that I've been working full-time service as a shaman. I've been doing this dedicated nonstop every day. It's become my passion and it's become the central goal and mission to my life.
So I want to tell people how I found you.
Of
I think
course.
it's important because then they will put the pieces together and make the connections. So I've had some difficulties in my life too. People have done some of what you've described. And I was told as a younger woman it was done. And because I was raised in a family where I was taught that that's garbage, I just chalked it up to garbage because you go with what your parents tell you.
Of
But
course.
some really weird things started happening that were not making sense. And I felt like my life had come to a complete block. So this interview is not about me. So I don't want to spend too much time on my thing, but I'm just mentioning it so people can connect the dots. But anyway, I mean, I've been through some really tough times, and I was like gonged on the head to wake up to the reality that this is a reality. It's not BS. It's not a scare tactic. That there's a spiritual world in parallel with this one, and they seem to have more power than
Yes.
we actually do here. And if you are not aware of this and someone messes with you in that realm, you got to go find somebody to help you, because that's what happened with me. I didn't know what to do with any of it. But some
Right.
crazy things were happening, and even my friends saw it. And so that sort of catapulted me into paying attention to the gifts that I was born with. They were given to me for a purpose. And so I had to wake up to what was happening and start learning and being open. As a result, I always gravitate towards spiritual people, but there are some of them, when I see them or I feel, I have to turn them off or run away from them, because I could feel strongly that this is not who they're saying they are.
Correct.
So I wake up every morning and meditate and pray. I start every day that way. And I was watching TikTok because I've learned a lot from TikTok. It's a really like rich resource and full of information, like all aspects of life. You see it there. And so I listen to a lot of the spiritual people, and I just listen to the messages because I'm curious because of what happened to me, and because I am someone who's just curious in general. I want to get to the bottom of things. You're
Right.
a Libra, you know, we have a very curious nature.
That's correct.
So I'm on TikTok one night scrolling, and I stumbled on one of your TikTok videos, and I'm like, who's this guy? Because you do a lot of your clearing. It's very dramatic. You play great music, and I could see you clearing people's auras. And it was fascinating. At first, I was a little bit scared because I'd never seen you before. And it was one of those where you could just see your eyes. They were appearing like lights. And so I started watching it. And then I went to your site and I started scrolling through, and I thought to myself, I want to interview this guy, because I watched like every single video you had, and that voice inside told me this is the guy that you have to interview. So
Mhm.
then I was faced with the task of getting your attention or contacting you
Of
to
course.
see if you'd even be willing to come on the show. And I was not someone that you followed. And so I sent you messages and I realized they weren't going through to you.
Right.
And one night I came home from work and I had a television show to edit. And I was finished. I went to bed and I wasn't quite sleepy. So I thought, should I put TV on and watch a show? Or should I watch TikTok? I swear to God, something I heard a voice say TikTok, because if you put a show on, you'll fall asleep. I turned TikTok on and you were on live. I'm like, oh my God, there's that guy. And by the way, 444 are three numbers I always use on everything. And it
Oh
was in
wow.
your name. I'm like,
Mm.
this is another like validation from my angels and my guides that you're the guy. So I clicked on and you were on. I'm like, oh my God, he's on. And I grabbed my phone and I wrote, I want to interview you on my television show. And you had like hundreds of people. So I'm like, he'll never see my message. And you wrote back and you said, yes, I'd love to be on your show if you're real. And so that's kind of what's led to today, because I never gave up. I kept on pursuing the leads and reaching out, reaching out. Finally, I made the connection with you, and now we're doing this. So that anybody watching this show will know how I found you and how we came about. So in between then and now, we've had quite a bit of communication, and I'm very impressed with how much you're doing to help people. Because like you, I feel that's my mission in life. It's not to be rich or any of this. It's to help people. There's so many people who need help.
Correct.
I'm not like you. Even though I have some of your gifts, I don't even have a quarter of them. And the ones that I do have, I can hardly help myself with them, much as help anybody else. So you are going to come on my show and you're going to help those people that I can't help and anybody else watching, because we need a lot of help. There's a lot of crazy crap going on that's really dark taking
Yeah.
place in the world and affecting a lot of people. And so, as much as we can, we got to help each other.
That's correct.
So at 21, you found out this stuff was wrong. You went to see this lady. When did you start working and how did you start working?
I was pulled by spirit. At that time, I found a lot of comfort with spirit, and they were the ones that were leading me. They were the ones that were telling me what I needed to do every single day. And my next move was to go to Sedona, Arizona, where my spirit guides told me that I needed to go to. I needed to go there to heal, that there was work to do, and that my mission was to serve the people. I was told a plan, a little plan of what was going to happen. And at this time, I was in southern Utah, and I was told after Sedona, Arizona, I was going to lead on to Mexico. At the moment, I was like, no, that's not that's not going to happen. Like, I can't even leave this state. I can't even leave, my home, let alone leave to another country. That that's uh, that's weird to me. Well, I started to meet some beautiful people. When I got to Sedona, Arizona, I met another shamaness woman, a high dimensional starseed that she took me under her wing. At that time, we were only camping. We were living out there, but we were camping because we couldn't afford anything. We barely got out there. We did this decision on the whim, but I trusted in spirit that spirit knew the best for me.
Right.
I met a woman, her name was Leah, a very beautiful woman that ended up actually helping me piece everything together. And when she met me, she fell to her knees. And I was like, what's wrong? I think something's wrong with her. And she goes, I'm okay. She goes, you don't know how long I've been looking for you. And I'm like, I look at her like, I'm only, at the moment, I was only like 22. I was like, oh, okay. This lady is about 48 years old at the time, and so I was like, well, I don't even know you. She told me I've been looking for you. She goes, do you know what you carry? And I started kind of telling her my perspective at the time. Yeah, I'm on a mission for God. I'm doing this as a prophet, as a messenger. And she told me, you are much bigger than that. And that's when she started telling me the energy you're giving off is healing energy.
And you
She
were
goes,
not aware of it?
I wasn't aware at the capacity that I have now. I was not aware. No. I I knew that I was here to heal with under the divine's permission. I knew I was here to help people, but I was still trying to find myself. You could say that I was still going through my dark night of the soul, and which everybody goes through. And at the time, I was barely starting my dark night of the soul. And so, getting through that, when she told me that, one of the most beautiful things that happened is that she took me to a national park that's out there. And we went to go do some work in the grids. Well, we went all the way to the top of a mountain. And when I got all the way to the top, she told me I can't go up there. She goes, my bones, they're weak. And if I miss and fall, it was a very high. You would say it's about 500, 600 feet drop. And I stood up there and you can see everything from every point of view because you were all the way at the top. And I started to do my work. I started to do work, and she told me the grids up there
That
need help.
come to you instinctively?
It did, yes. It's always been instinctively. I've always had it naturally. I just never knew.
Wow.
It took a few masters, a few guides, physical guides on the way to really teach me what I was doing because they told me, you're not normal. And I would tell them, wait, everybody does this. See, to me, I thought everybody did that. I thought
Mhm.
everybody stood on top of a cliff and just, looked like a little superhero trying to move energy. No, she told me, no. She's like, are you on planet Earth? Do you know this? And I told her, I thought everybody did this. I'm sorry. Well, that night, we were around a campfire. We got done at the mountain. We came back down. We went back to the campsite and we had a campfire. Well, she kept looking at me and she goes, you don't see it, do you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I was so confused of what she was talking about at this
Right?
moment, insinuating something specific. I just couldn't pinpoint it. And she told me, look up. And when I looked up, she goes, what do you see? And of course, like any normal person, I'd be like, stars. I see stars. She goes, dragon. They're all blue. And I went and I took a few minutes to look at the stars, and they were all blue. Now, for those of you who are watching, these stars in Sedona, Arizona aren't blue. They're sparkly, they're white, they twinkle, they're multicolored, they're all sorts of different a range of colors. That particular night, after we had did that grid work, all the stars were blue. And I thought she was a little bit crazy because I was like,
That's what
they
we
really,
all think.
they really are blue. Like, how did you notice that? And she goes, dragon. She goes, you're not listening. She goes, you turned the stars blue.
You?
And I just like looked at her like, what are you talking about? Like, no, like I I I just did work. I did work like I normally do. She goes, since when do you see all the stars under a night sky blue?
Can you
She
do
goes,
that now? Can you turn the stars blue now?
the blue in the stars was indicating the manner of healing that I do for the collective. I work with blue medicine, with blue power. And at the time, I didn't know that. She helped me understand. And she goes, I have a spirit guide that I work with, she tells me. She goes, I only work with him. She goes, you have him on your consciousness. You have him directly on your consciousness. And I still was out of it. I was like, I don't understand. And she goes, what I'm trying to tell you is I've been looking for you because I've been trying to give you the message that the spirit that's been with me, he's ready to work with you. And this is a high dimensional extraterrestrial.
Wow.
And
Are you in
I,
touch with these people still? Are you in touch with her?
unfortunately, I lost contact with her when I left Arizona. And I'm very sad about it because I haven't been able to connect with her. But she did tell me that we were the boots on the ground and that we were meant to do bigger things on this planet and to help wake up the collective. She was ready to retire from the spiritual because she was exhausted. And so I made her the promise that I was going to continue her mission. I was going to continue the mission to wake the people up. I promised her that night that I was going to do everything in my power to get out there and to become the person, the inspiration for those that need it.
So, Carlos, is your it does your family practice any of this?
In the beginning, no, I was the only one that was waking up, and everybody in my family thought I was crazy.
Yes, I know, it's true. That's why I
Yeah,
asked you this. And the most difficult thing for those people born with the gifts that, like your gifts and the gifts I have, which are not nearly as phenomenal as yours, you do feel like something is wrong with you because nobody in your family can relate to what you're dealing with. So you can't count on them for support. In fact, if you in the developmental stages of these gifts, you are very alone because you
Right.
think something is wrong with you, number one, and number two, you can't discuss anything with any of them because it's not relatable experience or information.
Well, see, I did the opposite of what most people do. I was very vocal. I spoke my words, whether people liked it or not, because I was so intrigued by everything. I wanted to just speak it out. Well, that's when a lot of persecution started happening. Uh, I had a lot of old friends that put me out on social media at the time and said that I was a false. I had a lot of threats. A lot of people threatened me and told me that they were going to make sure that I did not complete my mission
Yeah,
and that here and that all I was going to do was fail because God didn't like me. I was told that I shouldn't even opinionate because I'm a young, ignorant kid, and that how can I be of God when I can't even have my life together? I had a lot of people put posts out on me, directly attacking me. A lot of people really shamed me. And unfortunately, these were the same friends and family that found a lot of rage. And I thought that they were hating me because of this, what I'm doing. And I realized that it wasn't from this, it was because they already didn't like me.
well, their dog didn't like your light. That's how I see these situations.
At
And
the
you know what? God will separate the sheep from
from the
the
wolf.
enemies, from the wolves, because he brought you here for his divine mission, and anything that gets in the way of it, he'll remove it if you don't.
That's correct.
That's
I
been
was
my experience.
yeah, I was close to giving up. You know, at those moments when I was being shot down like a plane in World War II, I was just being shot down left and right. There were my partner, my wife, she's the one that has helped me through all
God
this.
bless her.
And one day I told her, I was crying, very, very sad tears, and I told her, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I give up. And she looked at me and said, no. She goes, there's a reason why you found this. She goes, and I think you should continue.
I don't think you found it. I think it found you.
She was very, very supportive. And she knew the persecution I was going through. You know, she would tell people that I was gifted as well, and they would tell her, no, that's not true. He doesn't have gifts. They, it seemed like the adversary became very potent,
Of course.
especially when I started to awaken. People were very threatened by me. And there was no need for that because I wasn't there to threaten nobody. I've always been here to excel everybody else because my gifts are for the people. My gifts are for the collective. My gifts come from the divine. There's no need for me to threaten anybody. But I realized how many wolves were actually in this world. Thanks to spirituality, thanks to the divine, I've understood that we live in a very chaotic, dark world.
Do you ever think that the reason that you had gone down that road when you felt lost earlier in your life, do you ever believe that that was destiny? I think sometimes we look back on, and I'm a lot older than you, have lived much more life than you have. And based on my experience, I can really honestly look back and say the things that I thought that I had done wrong, I actually did right because they steered me onto the path where I needed to be, not where I wanted to be. You see, if our choices are not in alignment with our life's mission, somehow we get redirected.
What you say is very, very true. One night I had a very potent dream that actually left me thinking, and it came true. I had a dream that God, the divine, was in the sky and that I was riding a motorcycle. The motorcycle in the dream represented what I wanted, what my ego, my anger, my pride. And I dreamt that the divine took his arms down and made me crash. Completely made me crash the motorcycle on the freeway. And when I woke up, I was like, God is mad at me. And I took it as God is mad at me. Now that I'm older, I realize there had to be some tough love, and that the problems that I was going through were to change me, because before I became Dragon Trinity, I was a very angry soul. I grew up with abusive stepfather. I grew up with very much traumas that's not important today, but those traumas left me very dim. And those traumas caused me to be angry at the world. I was at a point where you couldn't even look at me and I would snap at you. You know, you couldn't say anything to me, you couldn't tell me what to do. I was at a point where I wasn't okay as a divine masculine. I was not in the right place. And yes, call it destiny or call it God's hard love, but yes, it did come through, and I knew that I was being redirected, not just not just because God didn't like what I was doing. It was because I needed to see that I was not in the right mental state, in the right vibration. I wasn't speaking correctly. I was at a point where I was angry at everything and even myself. And so the Lord had to really show me, you are wrong, Dragon, you're wrong. And though I understand you, I'm not going to allow you to continue what you're doing. And this is something that most of the people in the world are experiencing. They're going through these hardships, they're going through these mental turmoils, and they say, God doesn't love me. God doesn't care about me. I'm alone. Why does he allow this to happen? God is tough love, whether you want to call him Taoism, Buddhism, shamanism, pagan. It doesn't matter where you stem from. There is a tough love energy that comes down from the higher realms, and it redirects you. And the more you resist it, the more you fight against it, because you have traumas and because you've been wronged, the more trouble you get into, because this is the divine coming down and holding you like this. And you're in the middle and he's holding you. And every time you want to move somewhere, he blocks it. He's blocking it because he's trying to show you, go that way, go up, go that way. And you're like, no, I was beaten. No, I was cheated on. No, I had abusive parents, abusive family. I was treated like a dog. I was homeless. Though we don't love those experiences, because none of us do, those are the experiences that make us understand that we are on the wrong path.
Yeah, I think it's in our traumas that we grow. If life was a beach, we wouldn't learn anything.
Well, and we're not here for that. The higher realms are more the beach. The higher realms are paradise. If we came here just to live on the beach, that's not the human experience. The human experience is to feel. And we all know, or those of you who are watching, we're going to get to know that we are God incarnates. No, we're not God and we're not almighty, but we have a great God being spirit that
You
lives within.
know how much that triggers some people? It's
It does.
really interesting when you, so just, I'm learning how not to judge because I was very judgmental. There was so much indoctrination and religion drummed into me growing up that when I heard certain people say certain things, I would just be like, oh my God, you're going to burn in hell. Because we were raised with this thing. And
Correct.
now that I'm evolved and I'm awakening every day, I have at least 5 or 6 spiritual teachers that I credit the person I am today to. And they teach exactly what you're saying. Believe it or not, we've almost done an hour. We're down to 18 minutes. We're going to do more segments. This is just the first. This one spending so much time helping people to understand your background and your story. And then we'll do another segment where maybe we can focus on your guides and all this. But
Um,
before the time runs out, I really want you told me on the phone, and we discussed this interview, that you would channel one of your guides. And today, before we run out of time, first tell us quickly about a guide. And then if you'd like to channel one, I think it'd be fascinating.
I would love to. I have a wonderful spirit guide. His name is Urban. He is of the 16th dimension, which will cause a lot of people to go into ego modes because most people only go up to 12 and
Right.
they say 12. That's not true. And when you're a shaman, a true shaman understands that there is an infinity of dimensions. My spirit guide comes from the 16th dimension, and he is a healer. He's a surgeon in the spiritual realm, and as well as a commander for the light forces. And he is the one that helps all of the beautiful people on TikTok, on my Facebook, everywhere I go. He is helping people.
Can
He
I stop
is
you for a quick minute? What is a spirit guide? Because I know this because I am on my spiritual path 5 or 6 years. A lot of people, a lot of my friends don't understand any of this. So just
right.
quickly tell us what a spirit guide is and how you connected to him.
Yeah, of course. A spirit guide is basically an angel or a spirit being that is placed with you at the time that you are born,
Right.
or you come to the earth to incarnate. You commune with your spirit guides. Some people have two of them, some people have three, some can even have 8 to 12.
I was told I have a lot.
The harder your path or the more resistance you get in your path, the more spirit guides you need to be able to help you through the obstacles and the pandemonium that happens. Spirit guides are angels, archangels, extraterrestrials, dragons, fairies, and the list goes on and on. And what their primary mission is to help you evolve and to protect you on this dangerous planet that we live on. Spirit guides are there to assist you to make sure that you complete your mission. Of course, there's free will. They're not going to bang you by the head until you get it done, but they're going to nudge you and they're going to push you. And they're there to help keep you and make you feel safe. Spirit guides are there and they're yours. They're not going to go with other people. I share my spirit guides with the collective. Most people don't. So your spirit guides are there to bring you into wholeness.
Do you think Irvin will come in and speak to me and my viewers?
He would love to.
Oh, that's awesome. Please. Just
So what will happen is you will hear me breathe in and you will hear his introduction. He gives a little minor introduction and He will acknowledge you. You may talk to him as the way you talk to me, and you may ask him questions as well.
Okay. Okay. This is awesome. I'm excited.
I think we're excited as well. Let's go ahead and do that for you guys.
Yeah.
Permission Almighty from the great galactics, source eternal and divine request. We salute you. Hello to those watching, and hello to you, Jennylyn, this day.
Hello, Irvin.
Hello, how
Thank
are
you
you?
for joining us.
It is a pleasure and honor. Thank you for having us.
Do you have a message for us?
Many messages I can give. But one thing that me and my brothers and sisters in the spiritual realm would love to talk about is the potency of the gifts that you were all given. No matter if you're a shaman, a priestess, an oracle, a witch even, we do not judge. We are all one under the great cloud of light. There is a fight and a struggle between all of you children on earth, as if you're trying to compete, as if one doctrine is better than the other, or one belief is higher than the other. Many of you push down the Christian God, while others of you push down the pagan gods. And there's others that call star seeds a sham. We would like to confirm that no matter what path you're on, it is the path that you were centered on, and it is what you chose. Your path is to not be judged, but to come into union with others. It is all about perspective. Perspective is key. Don't deny yourselves perspective. That is our main message this day. Stop denying perspective only because the church has ruined it, or the Bible isn't real, or there's no evidence. Is faith not based upon the belief? Is faith not based upon the inspiration within your mind? Faith is not about understanding books, but about coming into union with your divine purpose. We love you all, and we do not want to see chaos and mishap, miscommunication happen between the spiritual brethren and sisters. I agree that this earth is confusing. You see one site, you see another book, the church leaders speak, spiritual leaders speak. And it's hard to address what is the truth. The truth is within perspective. And perspective, well, there's 1,000 of them. We can never be done with perspectives. Grow, lovely children of Gaia, and be inspired by the everlasting hope within your hearts. We listen to all of you, and we hear your cries. It is your job to accept the divine plan. The divine plan will not fold as you say, but as what is needed for your courageous path and divine mission. Awaken those who are asleep and those who are barely starting this mission. We are no better than you. We are no taller, no bigger, no more prideful than you. For you are our mission. You are our garden. You all are the roses that we water every day. For every rose needs water and beautiful soil. We are there to upkeep the garden of God's favorable children. This is what we have to say this day, Jennylyn.
Can I ask another question?
At your will.
Will there ever be a coming together on this planet? Will the bullies ever be quieted so that we can have a more peaceful world?
The bullies you talk about will only be closed in their mouths when the divine community stands up and becomes one. We have to stop allowing these interferences. There's always going to be a bully, a satanic person, a person of great evil, a gossiper, a liar. There's always going to be someone that's engulfed in doctrines. It is up to the communities to come together and stand their ground. This is why we send people like you, those who may be watching as well. We send you specifically so you may become one with each other. Most people ask, how do we become one when everybody is so different in the way they think? I think we can all agree, belief or not, that there is a spark of light within us all, is there not?
Yes, I hope so.
And that spark of light is yearning to connect with the other. It is a domino effect. And when even one person, blocks that connection, it is all lost. Because the divine wants to take all of you up into its wing. The divine does not judge the witch from the priestess, from the oracle, from the Christian, from the shaman, from the sorcerer. The divine does not judge that way. The divine does not look at things from that perspective. There will be a coming and a union. It might take some work and struggle. But when this happens, there will be a select few of you that will take lead and bring the rest of the beautiful roses in the garden up into the higher realms.
Irving, is this going to happen in my lifetime anytime soon?
Time is irrelevant when it comes to this situation because there are moments where this could have been a month away. Some people say it's already here. Others say that it's still coming. Everybody's trying to put a time frame on this. How can we put a time frame on evolution?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Can't expect one daughter of the divine to hurry up and the other one is where they need to be, and say, okay, it's time to have this grand awakening. What about the one that's not ready? And then there's those who say, well, we can't take everybody with us, they have free will. This is what's causing the delay. When we say, well, we're good, they can stay. Why is that fair? The divine didn't choose only one person to be born. The divine chose for all of you to be born. Am I right? The
Yes.
divine chose for all of you to have a body, right?
Yes.
So why would anybody say, well, I'm going and oh well with everybody else? This is what's causing the delay.
But
We
we
must,
are told that we all have free will.
that is correct. But there's also a plan that you set before you came here. Free will has a part in this play, but there's also divine mechanisms within your spirit that lead you. You don't have to allow all this corruption to daint you and only take that light for yourself. What the divine wants is for everybody who has the divine spark, which is all of you, to come together. Some people say, Irvin, but those people don't want it. And I say, pray for them. Take them with you, even if it's in here. Because the day that this happens, the official ascension, you'll be able to save them. No one gets left behind. Are we clear?
We are, thank you. I have one last question, Irvin. I hope I can channel you can join us again in the future.
It's a
But
pleasure.
my last question is, what about those people that are spending their days hurting other people, physically or spiritually? I'm just curious about that.
Now there is a question. Those that wish to harm others, unfortunately, will suffer the consequences. Because those that harm others will be put down in their gifts. There will come a point when darkness will lose its power. How, Irvin? People ask me.
Yes.
Well, remember I was saying how when the light team stands up and becomes one, just this alone will dim every dark witch's power. Like this. Like this. They will have no abilities. We, or should I say humans, are allowing for dark things, evil intended, black magic, dark sorcery, evil eye to run the face of this earth. You have those that say, well, I'm enlightened. Okay, you're enlightened, great. And what have you done to use that enlightenment for others? Absolutely nothing, because you're not sharing that. You're keeping it for yourself. The darkness will have its day. It is up to you guys, the team of the divine, to stand up within your thrones. Each and every one of you have a throne. And if you don't sit on it, if you don't take the place, then something evil will take it for you.
Mhm. Wow.
If you don't take the throne that was built for you and you just want to lollygag, well, then something evil's going to sit there and take over for you. Unfortunately, this is happening worldwide.
Mhm.
The darkness has no place. What people call balance, the dark and the light, I don't call it that per se. I don't see it that way. I see it more as intentions. What's your intention? Who cares about the dark and the light? That's just a phony little game that humans play. Your intentions are what's going to get you burned. If you are dark intended and wish to harm others, you will be put out as a wildfire gets put out with water.
Love it.
With it will happen, and it is already coming to be.
I am so grateful, Irvin. I love you. Thank you so much on behalf of the collective. I'm so grateful for your time with us. Carlos and I will be meeting again soon, and I'm really hoping we can spend more time with you then. And I thank you so very much.
We thank you, young daughter, and we will leave so you can finish your interview with him.
Thank you.
All, we love you. May we meet again.
We will meet again. I love you and thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. I was covered. I'm so covered in chills and my body was shaking. Oh my God, you can't make this up. That was really powerful.
Yes, and he is, of
Carlos, thank you so much.
course, no, and just so you all know, he is only one of dozens of beautiful entities, high dimensional beings that come through. He's one of the main, and I wanted him to have the opportunity to speak to you because the energy can be felt through the screen. It's not
Oh my
about
God.
it's not about what we think. It's not about what we know or what was taught to us. It's about what we feel.
No,
We
I felt it. I'm still covered in chills. Look, and my body is still shaking. Whatever that was, he is magnificently powerful. I could totally feel it through the screen. And for anybody watching this show to doubt this, too bad. I don't give a rat's. You know what? I just sat here and experienced this. Don't argue in my experiences. Just tune out, and it's your loss because I think this is a huge blessing.
this will confirm for a lot of people that they are not crazy, that there's many channelers on this planet and only 2% of them are actually using their abilities. And though I'm a channeler, big time channeler, I want others to find their niche, their what their spiritual endeavors are. And so to those watching, you have Irvin that you guys can always fall back upon.
Can
And
I
he is
call upon him sometimes on my own?
you can.
Oh,
Yes.
great. Okay, awesome. So
Yes.
we ran out of time. I can't believe we've done an hour. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. You make the time, we'll do the interviews because there is so much to cover.
Yes, there is much to cover. This was just barely the little
This is the
point.
intro.
Yes, and so there will be much more coming. We will talk about how spirit works, and if the people allow the opportunities, we can also do collective healings and really help people understand that there is a bigger purpose and that there are spiritual masters right on the other side ready to connect with you all.
I am so thrilled that you brought Earthen in and that we have you. So what I'll do is wrap this up, and then can you do another segment when? So that my viewers
Uh,
can hear when you can come back.
I would love, I mean, I definitely, uh, whenever can be
I know
available.
you're so busy. We can do it on Saturdays if we can synchronize our Saturdays.
Yes, I
We'll
would
talk
love to.
about it off camera. But
Yes,
if you're watching this show, just know he's coming back for sure.
a
So
pleasure.
Carlos, thank you so much. I know that you're busy because you're helping a lot of people. I know during the day it's even difficult to text with you because you're so busy. But I am thrilled and I'm so grateful that you carved out this time to spend with me and my viewers. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, and this one, I'm sure, is not only going to inspire you, but it will blow you away because I am still shaking. And Carlos will be back soon to share more of his wonderful work and his high dimensional healing beings with you. And hopefully, when you watch this segment, you will receive healing, whether you need it or not. And I thank you, and I will see you soon.